Welcome to Keith and the Girl. I'm Keith Malley.
I'm Chemda.
Guess what, Chemda?
What's that?
Guess what?
All right, I'll start guessing. You found sleeves for all your shirts. You started playing the guitar behind you.
Okay, all right, forget it. I'm just going to tell you. We are now posting shorts on YouTube.
Whoop, whoop.
That's the way the world's going, right? 1 minute Keith and the Girl clips. You're in, you're out. You know, you're at the office. You want to take a little break in the bathroom when you don't really need to go. Check it out. Check it out. Keith and the Girl under YouTube. I saw one with Dave Rex just went up. That was with SNL's Bowen Yang, Ophira Eisenberg, Kevin Allison, Rod Murrow. Dave Rex called in and said, let me show you all the Keith and the Girl tattoos I have. I believe there were 6 on his body.
Yeah, I want to see 5 or 6. It's amazing. And he's showcasing all of them. And this is when we played silent trailers. And before his round, his time against you, we were like, hey, you have a Keith and the Girl tattoo. He displayed all of them. I don't know. There's like a feeling that goes with it. Go get that feeling.
It's magical. But my point is, he has the smiley face that Chemda has on the web of the outside of your hand, right? The opposite of the palm.
Yep.
I don't have that picture at keithandthegirl.com/tattoos.
Oh.
If you have a tattoo that Chemda has, I think it goes on that page. Okay. So send it to info@ktg.com and I'll update it immediately. My goodness, this is a blast to me. Let's see. We're going to keep putting out 1 minute shorts, clips from the show, and more. You know, the 24-hour marathon's coming up. We'll throw some things from that. Subscribe and hit the bell on the Keith and the Girl YouTube page. And speaking of which,
that's how you're going to be able to see the marathon. It's going to be live on our YouTube.
Yes. And it's next week. 24 hours, 50 comedians at least. It's next week, February 5th. Okay. All right. I got to charge up here. Come to 1 second.
Are you still drinking your salads over there?
Yes, I am. I'm drinking my greens. That might have been the O-ring in my mouth for a second, but oh, it's fucking delicious. Athletic greens, is what I'm talking about. And you know, I'm not a fan of broccoli, all this asparagus, whatever, all this stuff. Green, what a color, right? Of course, we don't.
I know
those
that
foods.
when you eat, it's very organized. I got to eat my vegetables first. The salad gets out of the way, and then the meal, and then the dessert. If I've done good, if I did all those things, and you eat the greens as if it's like, well, I'm an adult and this is part of it. And if I don't do this, it's not like you're going to get in trouble. Your body's going to not work.
Right. But isn't that funny? Yeah. They give you the salad first to get it out of the way. Well, now I just drink my greens every morning. I pretend I'm not, you know, there's different vitamins, minerals, all this kind of stuff in it. But I'm like, and broccoli, done. Cauliflower, done. You know, Brussels sprouts, done. By the way, my cauliflower is green because I never eat it. It rots in the fridge. Anyway.
You do see more hype.
Yes.
Yes. It's a new energetic Keith. I mean, I think you started this a couple of weeks ago. Listen to shows before the Athletic Greens and now. He is definitely charged.
Look, we're going to make it easy for you. Athletic Greens. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially with the flu and cold season and that other thing going on. It's just 1 scoop in a cup. I don't know why they didn't write that, but no, I think I want to keep my immune system up to tip-top shape, right?
Let's just say it seems to feel like flu and cold season all the time right now. There's a reason why I have to always have a mask in my pocket. It feels like there's something.
It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day, and that's it. Now, you don't have to take a million different pills and supplements. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. You'll see what they're talking about. Go to athleticgreens.com/KATG.
Again, let me tell you something. I assume that this is part of your New Year's resolution because I haven't met someone who has a New Year's resolution to get less healthy.
Right. athleticgreens.com/KATG. Take ownership over the health of yourself. Pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right. Today's guest. Oh, you're going to love her. Great stand-up comedian. And that's that. What you want to know? Like, how personal can we get? Naseel Azil. How you doing, Naseel Azil?
Hi.
How good did I do, by the way?
Huh? Oh, you nailed it.
Thank you. Thank you.
He was talking about my name, and he was pretty good.
I was looking at Naseel's website, and under bio, it says, "I like your name," in quotes, Janeane Garofalo.
Yeah. She said that once, and my sister was like, "Just put that on the website."
Yeah.
Just have throwaway lines.
You have to give your sister the credit too. Yeah. We think this is funny on your website. That's my sister. We'll get to me soon.
Right.
How long have you been a comedian?
For about 2.5 years now.
Okay. I have a question about open mics. Do they make comedians better or worse?
I think they make you better, but you can't only rely on them. Like, I think it's good for like practicing, getting your reps in, and, you know, trying new things and stuff, but you're not gonna.
I'm thinking about New York City, and I've seen some. And it seems like the comic is just performing for other comics, and comics hate each other. So how are they going to do you any favors? They're laughing at, your racist joke just so you say it again.
Yeah, which is my favorite thing, by the way, when you see like somebody do all this horrible stuff and the other comedians are laughing, and then they do a real show where like the audience reflects the population and just bombs so hard. It's my favorite.
Yeah, comedians laugh at different things, but also 2.5 years is fairly green for a stand-up, speaking of green. So Keith, just don't worry about it. Open mics work. Naseel, you have to have a good attitude.
I see open mics and I'm like, I get the point is you have to go out every night, but take off your backpack. Respect the audience that's there. Take off your backpack on stage. I see people in a winter coat like, who cares? Then why are you doing it? And it gets me riled up.
Now also, go ahead.
Oh, well, the interesting thing is, since I moved to Seattle, the open mics actually have like audiences. People they want to go and show up. It's way different than New York, where it's just like all comedians on their phone. Trying to get anyone to pay attention.
But yeah, isn't it fun when you see an open mic or at an open mic place and you encourage their bad joke, and then you see it at a real club and you're like, gotcha. You can't say that.
Also, with the green stuff, a lot of people in their first 2 or 3 years, they date other comics, unfortunately. Then about like 5 years in, they start swearing off comics. Then about 10 years in, they're either married to a comic or really swore off the comics, until 15 years in, you have an oopsie. I mean, this is quite the timeline. Have you dated or, messed around with any comedians yet?
Yes.
Yet. I say yes, yet, because it's
they're everywhere. They're fucking everywhere. I thought I knew better.
Yeah, actually, very beginning of my starting stand-up, I think maybe like a few months in, I met another comedian. We started dating. They were also in recovery, so it was kind of like, oh, okay, we have these like this Venn diagram of interests. But it was hard because it's like, I don't mind bombing in front, bombing's part of it. You have to see what works and what doesn't. It's hard to bomb in front of somebody and then be like, but I want you to sleep with me later. Like it was much easier once we broke up. Like we're like, I just don't want to run into you at mics while we're dating. Once we break up, it's fine.
Is that a turn on when you find somebody else in recovery because they get it? Or are you nervous because, hey, I have my shit together, but you might slip? How hard it is.
Yeah, I definitely think it can be this like amazing thing. Like I would prefer someone in recovery, but they have to really have, I've seen so many people where one person relapse, or it's just kind of this huge mess that I'm very choosy about who I would date in recovery if they have a good amount of time and seem to be kind of like on their game.
How much time do you have in recovery?
I just had 7 years on New Year's Eve.
Wow. New Year's Eve. Congratulations. Wow.
That's a weird day to pick, though. What made you pick that day 7 years ago? That's funny.
I didn't.
You're forced to celebrate your sobriety. You're like, it's New Year's Eve. We all have to be happy for just a second. You didn't pick it? Is that what you're saying?
The cops picked
it was just, it just happened to be the day I ran out of the drugs I snuck into rehab.
Today's the day. You count that day too. Every day counts.
That's hilarious. I mean, okay, it's not funny, but it is, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
So what was your drug of choice?
Heroin. I did
Nice.
like meth and a lot of other stuff too, but heroin was definitely like my main squeeze.
Now you sound together. I know we're talking 7 years in. You sound together. You look together. A couple shows we've been doing lately, Kenda, heroin doesn't sound so fucking scary.
Stop it. This is not the message.
You know what? Me and my girlfriend were thinking, you know what? Don't tell anybody, but one day let's go to Paris and shoot up once.
Oh my God.
And you know what? Everybody seems okay on our show. So I don't know. Can you tell me something fucking sick? Because we're so close to
I
do
feel
it.
like you're either on our show or you're dead. So that's the people we're hearing from are on our show.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty awful. I mean, I used to overdose, like I probably overdosed between like 30 and 50 times. I'm a pretty chronic one.
No, I'm sorry. What does overdose mean? To me, it means you're dead. So if you're still alive, you dosed, all right.
Yeah, I mean, like turning blue, not breathing anymore, having to be like resuscitated or Narcan. So
30 to 50 times.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm just more prone to it. Or
it could be heroin though too.
It could be the heroin.
It's heroin. I've heard about it.
It's some kind of a medical issue I have.
The movies think it's the worst. That's what they told me. There's something there.
It sounds so scary and so good. It sounds like people only stay away from it because they know how good it could be. You cannot just lightly take. No one's a casual heroin user, it seems.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, that's me overdosing with a pretty high tolerance. So somebody who's never done it to just try shooting up, I mean, it's pretty dangerous, especially now with like fentanyl and all this stuff that's in it. So I wouldn't recommend it.
Wow. 30 to 50 times. That means you had to have someone around you dealing with that. I don't mean to make them the traumatized one, but otherwise you're dead, right? If no one calls the cops or does something.
So yes, there were a lot of times where people were around, like towards the end of my addiction, people didn't even want me to come over because it's like, no, that girl, like she's a liability. We're just gonna have to revive her. So people didn't really want much to do with me. But a lot of the times I would be by myself and I would only realize that I'd overdosed by like how I woke up. Like, I woke up with like a glass smashed in my face. Like I had a cup of water and it was like down my face. I'd woken up like asleep on my arm. And so I guess sometimes I just would wake up after a while and have to kind of like do detective work. But yeah, I think it was way more traumatic for the people around me because I just, went to sleep and then I'd wake up and be like, why is everyone crying? Calm down, everyone. Like I just wouldn't know what's going on, which isn't funny, but
did that help wake you up? Like when other fuck ups are saying, hey, you're too much, you're scaring me.
Honestly, I was so delusional at that point that I kind of took it as, oh, I don't think I'm able to die. Like I'm some kind of like bulletproof,
right.
Like if I would have, it would have happened by now. So I'm invincible, which obviously is not the case, but that's kind of where my brain was at.
But kind of like, if you're lying, you lie small and then you got to cover up for that lie and then this lie. And then it's like, it becomes its own thing.
Totally. Yeah.
That's what heroin's like, right?
Yeah.
Did you see the TV show Dopesick with Michael Keaton?
No, I didn't. I've been hearing a lot of good things though.
It's fantastic. I think I'm an addict and I think it's great. But in that it's talking about OxyContin and then, people moving into heroin. Is that how it worked for you?
Yes. Yeah. I started with OxyContin and then moved into
prescribed to you OxyContin?
No, just kind of, buying it off the streets.
So what was before OxyContin?
Before OxyContin, I pretty much just liked a lot of like, ecstasy, Adderall, like uppers. But then it started to give me really bad come downs and just kind of, it felt like the come downs were bad. I was getting more anxious and depressed. And then I found like opiates and was like, oh, there's no downside. I didn't know about getting dope sick yet.
Because it's all downside.
It's all downside. Yes.
Yeah. Like, oh, I'm maintaining now, whatever this is.
Now, at what age do you start these drugs?
I think I started trying stuff around 14 and then 14. Really was doing it more addictively around 15, 16.
So we're smart enough now to know you can't force somebody into getting rehab. Maybe you can hint at something, but it's no point in making your face turn blue. Okay. But then when it's your kid and your kid's not in their 20s or 30s and you made peace with it, when the kid's 14, honestly, what does a parent do? Could they literally do anything? Or do you just, because without putting you in foster care, what can be done? Because
Nasil, please solve all of our problems. Figure out what you can do.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything you can do. And that's going to be frustrating the parents. Am I right?
Yeah. And I think it's a really interesting question because so my sister and I have very different paths. She's like she writes ads, and she was writing an ad for an Above the Influence commercial while I was kind of deep in my addiction. And I remember her asking me, like, what could somebody have said to you that would have made you not want to use? And like, the reality is nothing, there's not really, like, all you can do is kind of plant the seeds of like what resources are there if you do want to stop, or when you've, decide you want help, and like what can be done. But I don't think anything can stop it.
You're 14. What words are you going to say that's better than heroin or oxy? But even if you're spouting poetry, oxy is pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When did your family recognize that something was going on?
Not for a while. I think they definitely knew something was wrong. They just didn't really know what. And it wasn't until I think I was around 22, some of my friends from high school finally kind of like sat them down and told them, because I also moved out when I was 18. I went to college. So, hiding it was like a big thing for me, because in my mind, it was like, oh, I want to protect my family. I don't want them to feel afraid. But the reality is, I just wanted to keep using, and that would stop me, kind of more of that delusion. But yes, my friends ended up telling them. And then that was like very left field. My sister never done a drug before. It was way out of their wheelhouse. It was just, I think, how I kind of flew under the radar.
It makes sense that it's under the radar, because you obviously graduated high school, you did the normal things, you got into college, you went to college. So I think it's very confusing for parents when teenagers are acting weird, but also achieving, because they expect you to act weird. So maybe you're grumpy, or maybe you're going through teenagehood, whatever that is. And they're sort of dismissive of like, no, this is like a different person you're looking at, not because she's a teenager.
Which makes me think, I have 3 stepkids, all teenagers. 2 of them in high school age. They're not doing too well in school. Should I get them on oxy? Because there's something where you try harder, because like people say they shoot pool better drunk because they're overcompensating. Maybe there's something there.
I mean, there's 3 of them, right? So you can always test it on one, see if it works, and then you have the other 2.
Yeah.
If it doesn't.
Yeah, you only work on one leg at a time for if you have bad knees. Yeah, that makes sense. So you're doing oxy, and then I just heard about this. People can, before you're doing heroin, you can smoke oxy.
Yes, that's what I was doing.
Now, how would you do that? Now I understand this drug's off the market, but how what do you do? Just chop it up and you smoke it like anything else?
Yeah, you cut it into like fourths, and then you take like a piece of foil, and then you make a little track for it, and then you just kind of light it underneath the foil with a tube that people call like a tutor, and you like follow it, catching the smoke behind it. But yeah,
does that feel dirty? Does that feel dirty?
It to be honest, it's so bad. And when I started shooting up, it almost was like I wasn't coughing up black stuff anymore. My health at first it felt like, oh, this is better for me.
This is salad, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like a health guru now.
Are you a good cook?
No.
I wonder if these guys are good at cooking like real food.
I am not.
Okay. This seems like a lot of work.
I do find it interesting how much work drugs are once I discover how much work they are. Like even with weed, I was surprised to find out how much it costs, because people with weed just kind of pass it around freely. So and it's not like it's the rich that are passing that drug around. It's just like the regular average person usually. And then and then the work behind it, people who roll, the grinding and the tray that you have, and you're making tips and whatever it is. And I know that Xerxes does like above and beyond, but with the heroin, you're on heroin, and you just described a thing that you have to put together and then light on fire and then follow the thing. That sounds like a lot of work.
Did you like the ritual the way smokers like it?
Yeah. Oh, motherfucker.
Yeah. I was about to say that. There's something about the ritual that's almost just as satisfying as the actual, because I mean, shooting up is even more complicated. It's like a whole dance.
I don't want to take my own shots. Like when I have to take a shot at the doctor, if they were like, you got this, I'm like, no, I don't. I need a lot of people a lot of repetition, a lot of time. And then I have to have the balls to stick that in me. So the first time you shot up, were you on heroin already? And that gives you the courage?
Yeah, I had already kind of been smoking it. And then my first time shooting up was actually Dilaudid, like cooking up those pills. And so it felt like this kind of, oh, well, it's like pharmaceutical, it's not as bad. But my first several times, somebody else had to do it for me.
Ah, how sweet.
But then,
so
yeah,
helpful.
very nice.
What a community.
Yes, service.
Did that person feel bad or feel any kind of way, or were they encouraging you to do it this way?
I mean, I think I sought them out, or a friend of mine was like, oh, I just tried it this way. Like, it's way better. You have to try this. And I was like, okay, cool. And then this poor person, a lot of people were starting to get into it. So she had to like do it for everybody. They would all come and so eventually, you know, we all kind of figured out how to do it on our own, and she no longer had that burden. But it's weird because it's not like I like shots or anything before that, but you kind of are in that delusion. But every time I would smoke weed, it would give me this like really paranoid clarity about being a heroin addict. And I'd be like, oh my God, like I'm using needles. I can't believe that. Like I would like freak out, and I had to stop smoking weed because it was just too much reality.
Weed's fucking me up.
Yeah.
A paranoid reality. What did you call it?
Like a paranoid moment of clarity, or paranoid reality. Yeah.
Paranoid clarity is so interesting, because are you paranoid or are you just getting clarity?
Right.
But the clarity gives you the paranoia.
Yes.
Wow. So I had to stop smoking weed. Hilarious.
What Ken is alluding to, you know, are these people looking back, are they shitheads? When, for example, I heard a story, your sister I don't know if it was a birthday gift, Christmas gift, gave you $100. She gives it all in singles to be funny. Well, you need that money to buy drugs. You owe your drug dealer $100. So you're like, sorry, here are my singles. In the end, it's money. He probably rolled his eyes and took it. At that point, he sees what's going on here. Is that evil? That's evil to me. To not know where the fucking line is. Or is there no line? Like, if you're gonna buy heroin from me, I can't. Do you play dumb like a defense attorney? These dealers, I mean, like, hey, what do I know? Maybe you're sharing it. No, I just gave you 101s, and it's obviously all my money.
Right. It's hard to say because I have so much. I mean, I also sold drugs for a period of time. And
were you a considerate drug dealer? Like Keith expects to be? What the fuck? Like the bartender. You know how much it takes for a bartender to cut you off? You have to be like in a threatening, fucked up, falling down place. You can't really blame the person who's just going on with their business.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you can see when it's too much. And I feel like, I don't know.
When it's too much, it starts too much. It starts at too much.
So you just go, hey, I'm already too much. You're too much. Try not to die too much.
It's a too much community. You're in a community where the line has been shifted and too much has become regular.
Did you make good money dealing?
No, I never made any money. I only got to use some drugs. Yeah.
Okay. And you got an LLC and everything, but you just did your own drugs.
Right.
That's the kicker.
I never made a penny.
Did you ever feel bad introducing it to somebody?
I never really like introduced it to, it was all people who were already using it.
You really were the worst business person. I never really introduced.
No, yeah, I definitely just was selling to people who already were doing it. I wasn't very business savvy, but I think there's definitely like a spectrum, because there's people who are like addicted themselves. They're just trying to make enough, to use on their own. And then you have the other end, which is like, what's happening now, where people are putting like fentanyl and cocaine, knowing full well that someone without a tolerance could overdose on it. And so like, I think there's responsibility in that, but it's like, everybody's also just in their addiction. It's really hard to say,
Right. You're probably an asshole though if you put rat poison in the Coke when you sell it, right? Is there a line where anybody's an asshole?
Well, I put rat poison in it. That was like my signature.
I know somebody that actually did that, or I know somebody
really?
that saw somebody do that, and my friend is like, "Well, I can't be friends with you anymore. This is evil."
Yeah,
you can't add criminal behavior in your criminal behavior,
right?
That's because there's a.
Or do they shrug? Or do they shrug and go, "It started criminal, Keith"?
Yes, but do we agree that the start of it was criminal? Because I think you turn criminal when you put fentanyl in something and don't tell people. That to me is criminal.
Right.
The other activity is truthful. I'm giving you this and that's what you want. You're giving me money. I think like just because they say it's illegal, it doesn't mean that that's what I agree with.
You ever give them oregano and say it's heroin?
No.
Okay.
Is she selling to you?
They're not getting me
like,
again.
If you say, oh yeah, that reminds me. So when Keith was first learning about drugs, I believe you were in the army, right? Basically. And it was sort of like his heyday. And so he's like, what else can I do? Like a little spry, we're out on our own now. Yeah. Who's got what? Let's turn this thing out. And so you tried mushrooms, right? What did you try?
I'm not sure when I had what, but I've tried coke. I've tried mushrooms. I think heroin's the only one, and now I'm kind of feeling like a loser. No one's ever offered me heroin. Naseel, where does this happen? You're a cool chick. I've never been offered. I was a party guy.
My point was he tried to lick a banana to get high. Anyway, continue.
Tried to lick a banana.
Somebody said that if you scrape the inside of banana peels and smoke it, you get high. So people under me did the peeling of the banana, and then we tried to smoke it. And I'd like to say, it feels important. I say I didn't do it myself. No, nothing happened. It's fucking banana peel.
Well, that's interesting that you went through that phase. Because I mean, do you remember like when you're like 13? It's like, what else can we smoke? And like you smoke like leaves and just stuff that isn't.
We started later than you.
We
started after
13.
We had a bank account and and rent to pay.
I had 3 forms of ID. Okay, that's the
difference. Well, I'm glad it's a universal phase. No matter what age, you have to see what you can smoke. Maybe someone hasn't figured it out yet.
So you start shooting up at what age?
19 was the first time.
Goodness gracious. And is it as good as it is in the movies? Apparently you go to another planet and who knows what you're up to, and then you come back and go, that was fun.
Yeah, I mean, I will say yes, but it's kind of it's you're always chasing that first time, the first thing. It's very similar to comedy in a lot of ways. It's like when you really kill it, you're always chasing that, and like there's so many like lows. But also if you're already addicted to opiates, it's like your body is already craving this thing so badly. I know a lot of people who try opiates, maybe not heroin, but other things, and they don't like it. It makes them itchy. It doesn't feel good. So I don't know if it universally feels like so amazing to everybody.
How do you afford it as a teenager?
Well, a lot of it before like I went to college and started selling, a lot of it was just kind of hustling, and like I could connect people with, oh, like this person sells pills and they were looking for pills, and then I would take a cut of it or say it costs more or pinch off part of their sack or but a lot of it, I mean, I had a job. I worked at a salon at the time.
Busy.
Yeah. Right. You ever you ever get into trouble, like sneaking a little bit from somebody's bag? They probably have a scale. Who knows? Do you ever get into trouble?
Yeah, there was a few times I got caught, but usually this is horrible, but usually it was like a friend or something. So it just kind of turned into like us getting in a fight, and then, we'd forgive each other. It wasn't like anyone scary, luckily.
Right.
Did you get into any physical scary things aside from, almost dying 30 to 50 times?
I said, hey, we're bad people. Come on. And they're like, you're right. Come on.
I mean, I've been robbed a couple times. Nothing like, luckily people don't really need to use a gun or anything to intimidate. It's just like, oh, we're not paying you now. And it's like, okay, I guess I'll just leave the car. I'm not anyone of a stature that anyone's scared of. But I think the worst thing was I was in a car once and my friend was like, oh, I have this new drug dealer. We're going to drive over to this place. And he was like, oh, hold on, I just have to pick up this girl. She needs money for a hotel. And this is why even though I did meth, I hate being around meth heads. Like they're just unpredictable. They're erratic. Yeah. You never know what's going to happen. And so I was in shotgun. She came and sat behind, and then we're driving. And all of a sudden she's just like, let me out of the car. Let me out of the car. I need to get out of the car right now. And we were like, hold on, like we're driving. And then she like grabs my ponytail and she's like, I need to get out of the car right now. And I couldn't see because she had the ponytail, but my friend was in the back with her and she said she was reaching for her gun. And so my friend was like pushing her feet against her and like the back of the car to keep her from being able to do it. And then eventually she just got out. But I mean, the whole time that was happening, I didn't know that she was reaching for a gun. Yeah, but that's probably the only.
You ever find out why she needed to leave at that moment?
She was just on meth. I mean, that's the thing. It switches in a second. You're hanging out with someone, suddenly they're like, wait, you're a cop now. And like, my friend pulled out his own teeth because he thought there was microphones in it all of a sudden. Like, it's just so erratic from not sleeping.
These were not movable, like detachable teeth, right?
No, his real teeth.
Oh my God. How many?
I think 2 of them. He pulled out 2 of them.
The front ones?
No, the back ones.
But the back ones had the microphones?
Yeah. Okay. Well, he said the helicopters were going over and he realized pulling out his teeth would make them stop because the microphones in it. But they're in psychosis. They're literally in psychosis, from not sleeping. So
does everybody roll their eyes at each other? Like, oh, fucking heroin user, oh, fucking tweaking meth head.
Totally. Yeah. We look down at each other for sure. And we both use both usually, but they're like, oh, these like junkies just sit there and sleep. And then we're like meth heads. They're so predictable. Yeah.
Well, you started at 14, which means if I'm doing the math, and by the way, thank you for answering all these questions. We know that it's very personal, but there's a lot of firsts in that time. There's possibly a first kiss, first sexual experience. I don't know if that happened before that, but just a lot of like first getting ready for adult stuff. How did you manage all of that? How'd you manage your sex life if you had one?
I mean, I think
I had sex.
No, I did. I think, mixed in with all that too, like it was starting to get addictive around 15, but also I was still doing a lot of normal teenager stuff, drinking, parties, I think that was part
teenagers are so goofy that who the fuck knows what you're doing,
Right.
Oh, you're erratic. Well, no shit. She's 14, 15.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's like I was good at having a double life for a long time where it was like, yes, maybe I'm doing these drugs with these people on the side, but also I'm still, hanging out with my friends and going to parties and doing like normal social stuff and kind of doing it. It hit a certain point where I wasn't doing both anymore, but that was much later on.
Oh, okay. So if I met you, I would just think you're like another teenager like me doing the corny stuff and the regular shit, going to prom.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Okay.
Sure. And like, yeah, I know she does drugs, but like, it's probably not that. She just likes drugs. It's not that crazy.
Is there a lot of sex in these worlds? I thought about joining a satanic cult because they seem like they just fucking cut all the time. I try not to cut, but they probably make you sometimes. But the fucking is like so good.
The partying at the Matrix where everything just turns sexual. Yes. Just like, oh, this techno music. Let's fuck. Actually, Limelight wasn't that far away from that. But anyway.
Is there a lot of sex? Like we'll do drugs, we fuck, all that, or it's totally separate, or whatever?
I think it's like with ecstasy and like even meth too. Like I think that there's a lot of like kind of sex that's going along with it. But heroin, I feel like people are just kind of too like maybe. Yeah, sometimes, but I feel like a lot of the time you hit it, like people are just kind of nodding out or they're more concerned about getting high than they are about having sex. I feel like my sex life got better when I got clean. Sure. But yeah, I think there was still I think
you just got Keith off of heroin. So that was
good. It really is. It really is. Better sober. What got you into rehab? You on your own realized you had a problem or you had to be forced?
Sort of both. So the first time I went, I just kind of had run out of options. I think I had like stolen some money. I broke into my parents' room and taken some money out. This was right after I graduated college. And no, sorry, this was like a year or so after I graduated college. And they had known I was using at that point, but I had been on Suboxone for a bit. And so I kind of just thought, okay, well,
that's the stuff that you take when you're getting off it.
Yeah.
And you have to, where do you get that from? That's not from the streets?
You can get it from the streets, but I was getting it from a doctor. I was
trying,
but I wasn't by any means clean. I mean, I was still doing meth every once in a while and smoking weed and drinking and stuff. So, And so I just kind of was like, okay, well, I know I'll just let them know that I relapsed and I'll go to rehab, and, you know, this will be good to just kind of maybe get clean for a little bit, but I didn't really plan on staying clean. And then that year I went to rehab 3 times. And I just kept trying to find that like perfect way to use that I would control it, you know, like, oh, I'll just use on the weekends and then I won't get dope sick, or I'll just do, like, I was really trying to find that like algorithm.
So then what happens during, because when you're not interested in rehab and all this, all the rooms, all the 12 steps, when you're not interested in that, that could sound like so grating, you know, like progress, not perfection, like all this, all the stuff could sound very kindergarten-y and could really grate your nerves when you're not interested in it. How did you deal in rehab?
Well, I think I was interested. I just, my cravings were so intense that it felt like more often I just wanted to use again. And then I think I would hear stuff that they were saying and I'd be like, okay, like I think I do want to be clean. I don't want to do this anymore. But then it would flip again. And I'd be like, no, but not yet. I'm not ready to do this forever. But
oh, you were addicted. Okay. Thank you. You've never met anyone before in your life. Thank you.
Well, I picture them saying like, well, the first time probably won't take. And you're like, well, what's the fucking point?
Right.
Okay, then it won't. That's stuff. I can't argue with science. Yeah. All right. See ya. Which one takes? I'll come back then.
I remember having that thought too, though, where they're like, oh, maybe 3 out of 10 of you will stay clean. I'm like, well, it's not going to be me of all the people.
He seems more ready.
Yeah, and you're trying to figure out, you know, I did this drinking. I'm like, okay, well, what's better then? If I just drink on the weekends, but I get real drunk, or I have 2 drinks a day on the weekdays? Meanwhile, you're doing all of it.
Right.
You know?
Well, you're trying to decide.
Right. Yeah. Check the 2 feelings out. Like, you know, and so I picture you being a pro. You wake up, you're dope sick. And so you're like, all right, I better shit now before I, you know, get constipated. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know it.
You shit now and then you can do the drugs again. It's like, I got this figured out.
Were you doing that math, Keith? Because I do, like, after Keith stopped drinking, I was like, oh, right. Because there were days where it's like, how do you have to shit all day? And you made it so it's like, you know how we always have to shit before a show. Excuse me. Like, it was, I didn't really put that together with your drinking. And I knew how much, you never know how much someone's drinking, but I think like I didn't understand what alcoholism really was. Like, you know, I think when I first, like before I knew what it was, you're an alcoholic if you're lost, fucked up on the street, you're almost homeless or are homeless. Like, you're not, you know, waking up to kind of do a half job. I just thought Keith just does half jobs. Like, that's what all dudes do. Like, it's just, you expect halfsies from men. And when they deliver, it's like, all right.
Is stand-up a trigger though? I mean, what a fucking job you picked to stay sober in.
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, I didn't start doing stand-up until I had almost 5 years. Okay. So I think I was kind of, and I've always been someone where like, I'll go to like clubs or bars if there's like a reason, like if there's dancing or karaoke, or I'm meeting somebody I haven't seen, you know, if there's a purpose other than just going there and people are drinking, I've always kind of been comfortable. And if I feel like weird that day or like I might be triggered, then I just kind of don't go that day. But I think a lot of the times you see some of the comedians who are so messed up and then it doesn't go super well that you're like, no, I think this is the right thing.
They become a deterrent for you. Yeah, that's what I look like. That's right. Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah.
Speaking of stepkids, you basically, you know, the same way I do. You have 3 over there, right? You're with a man with 3 kids?
Yes.
What are the ages?
12, but about to be 13 next week, and then 6 and 7.
Okay. And then is anybody having an attitude? Do you know where your role is? How's that going?
They have been shockingly cool with it. Like and you know, his oldest one, who you would think would give more attitude, he hasn't been with her mom since, you know, she's been alive. So they have different moms. So so that it has been fine. We're both into the same things. We both love TikTok. We both, we're the same size. This is like her jacket, I'm pretty sure. And so that's awesome. We get along famously. And then the two little ones, they're again, shockingly cool. Cause he, just the last time they saw him with someone was their mom. And so they'll be like, oh, can we do your hair and then your makeup and then go over to dad and see if he'll dance with you? And it's like, oh, okay.
Oh my God.
They're like wingmanning me.
That's so cute.
Is there a way to tell them life lessons about Harewood now? Or are they too young? You have to wait until you catch them, right?
Wow, Keith.
Well, the interesting thing is all of them have grown up in meetings. Their dad he's in recovery too. Right. And he'll have 10 years next week. And so they've all kind of grown up in meetings. At least if anything happens, they kind of know where to go. But we talk about all the time of like, out of the three of them, it's likely that one, and I think we know which one. But no, I'm just kidding.
Right. Yeah, I'll bring up that I'm an alcoholic whenever they bring up a problem. So now, so they feel like they trust me more. But I might throw it in too much. I'm like, don't leave your bike outside. And I'm an alcoholic, so I get it. But by the way, speaking of relationships, I just saw this. Cheryl Hines, she's in Curb Your Enthusiasm. She's the ex-wife in the show. She's the ex-wife of Larry David. Her husband is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Ooh. And she went on, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. compared vaccination mandates to Anne Frank's Fear of the Nazis. And I'll give you the exact quote. So then here, I'll give you the quote first. Let's see. Where's this? Even in Hitler's Germany, you could cross the Alps into Switzerland. You can hide in an attic like Anne Frank did, he said.
That's a positive move. You can. That's an option.
You could back in the day. You can hide. But today the mechanics are being put in place to make it so that none of us can run and none of us can hide.
What are you talking about?
Yes. On Tuesday, shortly before his wife retweeted, I'll tell you that tweet. He said, "I apologize for my reference to Anne Frank, especially to families that suffered the Holocaust horrors." She wrote, which I think is interesting, "My husband's reference to Anne Frank at a mandate rally in DC was reprehensible and insensitive. The atrocities that millions endured during the Holocaust should never be compared to anyone or anything. His opinions are not a reflection of my own." That relationship's done, isn't it? How the fuck?
But also,
put out a joint statement or something. But you're really hanging me out to dry, and we love each other.
Oh, just maybe I should tell Xerxes now, if he says shit like that, he's getting hung to dry. Where do you start and where do you finish? You compared it. Like, it's not that I think nothing can be compared to the Holocaust. There actually have been worse things, but it's that you think that somebody is holding you down, where Anne Frank is something that you can like wish you had. That's like, well, at least she got an attic. What the fuck? This isn't sibling rivalry.
Don't you think the punishment should be he has to read the diary? Nobody's read the stupid fucking diary, right? She's 14.
I mean, the house is still in Holland. Forced to there. And also, you can't run and you can't hide. We're reading her diary. She wasn't allowed to hide. We're not giving you options to hide.
She said,
why am I explaining the Holocaust?
She said in the past, her and her husband don't always see eye to eye when it comes to politics. I can't look past that.
That's not politics. Why are we calling everything we disagree with politics?
Right.
That's not politics. Well, we're not politics.
What?
I don't know what to say.
But you're right. You're right.
You can't just argue with me and go, well, that's politics. We can stay away from that. Let's talk about weather tomorrow night at dinner. Well, how is that like when your child is queer in any way? That's politics suddenly. Well, I mean, I get that this is like a political regime, like the whole thing. It does, but like it's not politics between you two. It's your ethics. It's your thought process. It's it's what you're comparing it to. Like you don't really know what it is. If it's politics, you don't know politics, and you don't know regular human behavior. You're nuts.
It's odd
we
to me.
Disagree. Have you ever disagreed with someone about this? Right. Well, this is just like the Holocaust. Before you disagree, let me just, what? What is like the Holocaust in your life? And you're going to argue with me. Okay, I'm done. I swear. I promise I'm done. Okay.
Well, even, when you tweet that out and it's abhorrent to your wife and you think to yourself, but I still got to say, that's going to come back to your wife. You don't give a fuck. That's strange politics. To me. That's politics.
Well, I don't think that you should hide yourself because your wife is going to feel uncomfortable. I don't
even know how you got together in the first fucking place.
Yeah, you never, he must have compared something else to the Holocaust if this is what he's comparing. He must.
Her meatloaf.
Right.
Right. At least Anne Frank got the bread when people were out. She snuck downstairs.
They had latkes at least. What the fuck is this?
When you start a sentence with at least Anne Frank, blah, blah, blah. Oh. You gotta know you're going in a bad direction. That I can even hear you, that you have the ability that I can hear you and the stupid words you're about to say. At least Anne Frank. You have the platform to speak on and you're comparing yourself where you're more the victim than Anne Frank.
Right.
If you don't want Frank, she's not just a child. We read her diary. Look, she got her period. What? You just say Anne Frank.
Well, if you don't want to get vaxxed, just don't get vaxxed. But I guess this guy would say, well, if you want to go to work, and this guy, Anne Frank didn't get to go to work. Even.
Well, I just feel like they want so badly to be oppressed. They're so badly are just reaching for anything that makes them oppressed to not get vaxxed.
You know what would help? Compare yourself to not Anne Frank. Because next to Anne Frank, who do you know that's oppressed? Pick something else.
Literally anything else.
I'm going to call this show Anne Frank. Relatable.
I think we already know you decided on paranoid clarity.
God damn it. I did write it down, but I also wrote down dope sick because it just sounds, because it sounds good. Ugh.
Sounds great. That's why we used it a couple weeks ago.
Oh, I thought we used it. All right, this is behind the scenes, everybody.
Well, I want to say something. This is a message to the great Cheryl Hines. BetterHelp. BetterHelp is therapy that helps get your head straight. Hemda uses it. I use it. This podcast is sponsored by it. Okay, something interfering with your happiness? Fix it. How about that? Match with a therapist in under 48 hours. Here's what you do.
You share with a therapist before you say shit like maybe I should compare my life to Anne Frank online. Run it by your therapist. See how you sound a little bit. Work on it. Workshop it. And they'll help you fucking post the thing that maybe your words were jumbled.
Yeah, my therapist said, when did you start drinking? I'm like, I never thought about that. So they can ask Mr. Cheryl Hines and say, when did you first equate things with Anne Frank? Let's get to the bottom of where this all came from. You fucking moron. All right, here's what you do. Keith and the Girl listeners, get 10% off your first month. BetterHelp.com/KATG. That's BetterHelp.com/KATG. Okay.
I mean, paranoid clarity. That's as soon as she said it. That's cool, right? I feel like more people should use that term.
Now, Nasil also, as well as being a stand-up comedian, plays Alice from the Alice show. What's the Alice show called? Into the Well, Alice. Oh, Alice in Wonderland, right?
Yes.
Is that what it is? Okay. Took me a bit. And you play Alice at what? Like cocktail parties, or is it kids parties?
So we have some kids show, but it's mostly for adults. It's called the Alice Cocktail Experience. I'm actually the Queen of Hearts, and I go around screaming at people. The kid shows are rough because I make them cry a lot of the time on accident.
Because you cut heads off, or what do you?
Yeah,
what do you do?
like we play a game where they have to decide who to blame their crime on, and one little girl pointed to her dad, and then I was like, off with his head, and she's just burst into tears.
You know what I equate that to? Nazis would make the moms But you have it even tougher because you got to deal with those kids and see their tears throughout the night. Have you had to console a kid like, all right, should we not cut them? Okay, we won't then.
Yeah, I'll usually go up after and be like, oh, I do like a horrible fake British accent. I'll be like, oh, I'm actually a nice queen. And like, do you want to be the ambassador of Wonderland? And like, try to smooth things over, which usually works. I'm like, can I have a hug? And I'm like, sure.
Oh, goodness. Oh, I remember doing kids parties and we did Double Dare Ring. So TM. And so that means that these kids are running relay races, and sometimes they would book it for kids that were too small to compete like that. And so, and I would come in pretty aggressive because it's like, oh, I'm going to throw pie in your face and blah, blah, blah. And now they're like 5. So I'm like, well, who knows what 2 + 2 is, but you got to double dare. And the kid freezes up and I'm like, okay. And they're like, oh my God. Now they're crying like, you know what? Not everybody knows. Now I'm a therapist. Just like, you know what? Let's walk over here and we're going to learn something. I don't know. You just kind of like distract them. Like, this isn't the end of the world. But yeah, why are you throwing 2 + 2 at a party?
And then Kenda has to explain, first of all, the dares are the fun thing. Because for a couple $100 for half an hour, maybe, I shouldn't just ask you simple math questions. Let's do some of the dares that, I'm
hoping you get this wrong so we can get to the relay races.
Right. We got them all right. Perfect score. No slime. Right. The end. What a party. It was a big test. I'm reading over here. The Beijing Olympics will be providing athletes with condoms, despite asking them to socially distance and avoid embraces. Well, I don't embrace when I'm fucking. Let's see. They provide prophylactics. It's been a tradition since the 1980s. This is what I'm talking about. Fuck fest. I knew it. The Olympic. You become an Olympian. Yeah. Gold, silver. You're fucking that whole. You're all. You know what? I'd fuck a Russian because like they're like taboo right now. It'd be so fun. You're just banging about. Hopefully, you get your sport out of the way fast, right? And then just bang, 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 bang. Oh,
you know what? I
get it.
I was just I'm watching Seinfeld. I'm watching the whole thing start to finish. Mm-hmm. And we just got to the episode where he's dating a gymnast and he's like, I'm going to be the, then he starts
naming all gymnast,
right? Yeah. And then he does, and he's like, oh, it wasn't what I thought. And then I believe she's Russian. She's like, well, in my country, the comedian could really fuck. And so they both disappointed each other. And isn't that lovely? They both think it's a fuck fest. And the thing is I think being a comedian could be a fuck fest, but it is the worst orgy you ever want to be in. So.
Picture 3-4 way with comics just doing their fucking bits, acting like it's conversation.
You ever wonder when you're naked why?
You know what else feels good? A Starbucks coffee. But why can't I just say large? Like, all right. You're giving me comedian dick. Shut up.
I feel like the synchronized swimmers are the ones I feel like they're fucking. I feel like it's low key because have you seen? They're so coordinated with each other. Am I in the wrong Olympics? Are we at Summer Olympics?
Well, I mean, you can teach your partner choreography real quick and then get into it, and then you'll be coordinated. But their core strength is fantastic. You think they could just balance forever? They got to go on top, right?
Yeah.
Like as a favor for this one time, if you're not the athlete they are.
You know what would happen though? I guarantee there wouldn't be condoms in my hotel room. And then who do you ask? No, I'm a pervert. It's the tradition you've been doing. I gotta go, hey, there's no condoms in my room. Forget the whole thing. Right. Now, Nasil, what would you like to let everybody know before we get out of here? What's on your mind that's very important that everybody should know?
No pressure.
No pressure. We just met you. But what should they know about life? What should they know about?
Well, what's like you went through some rehabs. Either one of them must have worked or maybe a 12-step program. What do you think worked the most for you? And did it come in like drips and drabs or a few epiphanies? How did that get better?
So for me, it was like right before the very last time I went to rehab. It was just maybe not paranoid. Actually, maybe it was paranoid clarity. It was definitely clarity at the least. But it was kind of like I had this moment where it was like nobody really wanted to talk to me. I didn't really have anywhere to go. I just gotten kicked out of my clean and sober house. My partner at the time was kind of like either.
Sorry, how do you get kicked out? You sneaking drugs?
Yeah, I was using, and yeah, I had gotten caught using again.
I'm sorry, where'd you get caught? The bathroom?
No, so my boyfriend had figured it out at the time, and then he told my house because he let it go once, and then he was like, if I catch you again, then tell the house. And then we were actually having sex, and then he grabbed my arm and noticed there was makeup all over it, and he kind of
wiped it away and saw a hole or whatever. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, just kind of
must have been so pissed
because you were so close to finishing. It really ruins the mood, doesn't it?
Ironically, he came. It's like, I figured it out.
We love knowing.
I knew it. I knew everything.
Amateur detective, here I come.
So is that the gift of desperation, the bottom? Is that what that means?
Yeah, it was just kind of, so it was. And I had bottoms like that before. Like I had, it was all, situations I had been in before where kind of I lost everything, didn't have anywhere to live, anyone to talk to. But it was kind of, I had this moment where I was like outside, it was raining, I was smoking a cigarette, and I just realized like every way I try to use, I always end up here. Like, the last time that algorithm I was trying to figure out, like that was the time. Like I had a really good plan if I would, but I couldn't stick to it because I'm an addict. It just got out of hand every single time. So it just kind of clicked that like, it has nothing to do with how I'm using. It's the fact that I'm using it all, and I'm never going to be anywhere except for like in this spot unless I do something different. And so,
wow, what is your immediate response to that? Do you cry? Do you call someone? Because like you can't, just because you decided to start something, it doesn't mean like it happens right away. What do you do with that?
So I think I called my mom and was like, I'm ready to go to treatment again. I called a place to get in, and then I used it a lot. Like, just because you get the clarity doesn't mean you're done. So then I got really high that night, and I went home to my mom's, and I was like, I'm ready to, and who knows how that went. I don't even really remember. And then, I still snuck in the drugs to treatment. So obviously it wasn't, but that also was kind of, I didn't want to go to detox again. I just wanted to go straight to rehab and get my life going, which is silly because it's not like I had a lot going on. Like I really have to get out, get all this paperwork done.
By the way, when to sneak into rehab, do you have to put up your asshole, or they go, hey, we're going to trust you, some of you will let us down?
Yeah, I just put it in my bra. They don't like do that intense of a check because
but that's still something as opposed to pockets. It's your bra. That's something.
Yeah. Like when I worked at sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
When I worked at a rehab for teenagers, we had to like have them not in front of us, but like we had to make, because if we have kids with drugs on our premises, then we can get in big trouble. But if it's adults, it's like not that much of a liability.
Have you made amends to your parents or anything like that?
Yes. I've gone through the 12 steps, and I'm working on another round of it.
Can you feel a forgiveness from them? Like, have you kind of, because you're in sobriety for this long and working on it, can you feel a difference in their trust and their willingness to be with you?
Definitely. Like I got a key to my work before I got a key to my parents again. So it took time, but the amends to my mom was really powerful because when I got to the part that was like, what can I do to make it up? She was like, I never really understood unconditional love until having an addict as a kid, because she's like, of course you love your kids unconditionally, but it's not until they're doing these terrible things. And she's like, and I don't hold like a resentment towards that. I don't feel, I was just scared at the time, but she was like, but I really, that really showed me what like unconditional love can be, which was, a crazy thing to hear.
Is it offensive that now your sister only gives you checks? I picture somebody also like saying, hey, how about you owe me amends, and you're like, no, I don't know you. That ever happened? Nah, don't worry, I got everybody. You're a jagoff.
No, but I have had somebody make an amends to me for hating me. Like, sorry, I hate you so much. And I was like, I didn't know. Yeah.
I want you dead. I wanted you dead. And I'm sorry. Now I'm clear.
Yeah. Could have gone without knowing any of that. That would have been probably better, but that's fine.
Nasil, thank you so much for your time. You're fantastic, of course. And I appreciate it. Here's what people should do. Check out the website. It's her name, Nasil Izil. Not necessary, but I'll spell it for you. Nesil, just like you would think. Izil, duh. On Instagram, at Izilium. Ezelium. Okay, you have fun with it, right? Yeah, you have fun with it. Is that a real element?
No.
Okay. I don't know. That's what I believe.
am.
That's what I believe what these doctors say, because I don't fucking know. I didn't know. Is it an element? And if you didn't really know, get vaxxed. Okay. How about that? All right. Mark your calendars, February 5th. In fact, just go to YouTube under Keith and the Girl. Click that bell. It'll remind you. All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Nasil. Shout out to Sophia.